Have you heard the Jim Gaffigan thing? This is going to be the best intro ever to a YouTube video I have. But have you heard the whole Jim Gaffigan thing about enough about the ranch, okay? If you eat that much ranch, you should just not vote. Because he's like, what is it with ranch on everything? You know, we didn't even eat raw vegetables until there was ranch. It's really funny. Anyway, all right. We're going to be doing all the Bravo versions of these. So let's go ahead and flip to 9.5 Bravo on page 316. And the good news is, because we can download the test template, we can see what? You okay? We can see what it's supposed to look like. And I like this. So this is a bank reconciliation. For those of us who have had QuickBooks, this is going to look very familiar because we did this. For those of us that didn't have QuickBooks, this should still look fairly familiar because we kind of went over this yesterday. But a bank reconciliation is what? Mr. Tuck, how would you describe what a bank reconciliation is?
You just make sure what you have in your bank matches what you have in your files.
In your books. So we're matching the bank to the books. So that even though they have two different numbers, because we've been writing checks, maybe we've been taking deposits and it hasn't hit a bank statement, whenever we get that end of the month bank statement, we're going to go through and we're going to reconcile, which means we're going to say, okay, we've gotten all these things in, they all match. Here are the things that we hadn't put into the bank yet. Here are the things that hadn't gone from the bank to our books yet. And now we have the same number. So we should come out with no difference. And if you guys remember that in QuickBooks, we had that little thing and it would come down with a difference at the very end. We wanted that difference to be 0. Because that meant books match the bank balance and vice versa. And they're not going to match exactly. It just means we've shown that we have everything put in for both things to equal each other. All right. So we like, in accounting, this balancing effect. I am just going to take this and we could say, okay, if I look at this, unfortunately, we can't highlight the rest of this stuff. But this would be a fantastic way, if you were setting this up for your own homework, which is what we're going to do, to look at one thing and duplicate it in the other place. Okay, I'm going to create it kind of from scratch based on this, but remember what I said about indented? What do the indented ones do? What's the difference between this column and this column?
Credits and debits.
No.
They're going to subtract them.
We're going to put these together and they're going to come over to here. So we're going to, this is like a subtotal column, and if we went one more down, we would subtotal this and then bring it out to here. Then we'd subtotal here and come out to here. So each row, the farther to the left it is, we need to do that before we go back to the right and do a computation. Okay. So we are, and then we're going to do some journal entries. We're going to have 3 problems today. This one has a little more about the reconciliation. This is the stuff that's going to happen, the additions we have to put, the subtractions, and then a couple journal entries. The reason we're going to be doing journal entries is because there will be things on the bank statement that are not in the books yet. And one of those archaic things that we're probably going to see in all these problems are somebody's going to go pay off a loan at the bank instead of writing us the check. They're going to go to our bank and deposit it directly. I told you that yesterday. That's kind of archaic. People don't really do that anymore. But the bank took the money and then we show, oh, hey, we got $1,500 extra or whatever the number is in our bank account. Somebody paid off a loan, and then we have to put that into the books. And finally, on 9.7, same little thing. We're just going to do the additions and the subtractions and a couple journals. So we should be able to cream through this in a good clip, I'm hoping, and not stress out too far. Good? All right. Well, I'm going to try and do my best to talk like a auctioneer. So I got a 9.65. So let's go ahead and just start with a brand new window here. And I am going to, did you guys see that little trick I did? Because that's a good trick. If you right mouse click and say Microsoft Excel, it will give you a second Excel window. Why is that important? I can clip this one over here, I can clip this one over here, and I can see them. Ah, you can't normally do that unless you do that right mouse click and go back up to Microsoft Excel. And this way I can keep it right here and kind of have a path. And I think this is great because 9 times out of 10 these problems have just changed the name and the number. So we can see exactly what we're looking for. So let's go ahead and start off with, I'm going to just come right into it with, I'm going to try and keep it as similar as possible so you guys can see it and be happy about it later. So I'm going to just drop down to number 5. And what is the name of this problem here? We have on October 7th, 2013, Peter Chen, an attorney at law, received his September bank statement from First Texas National Bank. Don't mess with Texas. Everything comes out as bigger. Enclosed with the bank statement was a debit memorandum for $118 that covered an NSF check issued by Annette. Is your last name Cole? I thought we'd just try. Annette Cole, a credit customer. The firm's checkbook contained the following information about deposits made and checks issued during September. The balance of the cash account and the checkbook on September 30th was $8,134. So they've given us all this information. Unfortunately, you know what? I'm going to fortunately make this. Hold on. So we've got a copy of this here so that we can look at it and we can mark on it because we won't mark in our books. I had to put that on YouTube. And so we're going to mark on the photocopy of the First National Bank bank statement that I made for everybody just now. And let's go ahead and look at what we have here. We have a balance of $650. Now, when we're doing a bank statement, what is the name of the company that we're doing this one for? It was Peter Chen, right?
Attorney at law.
Attorney at law. Da, 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 da. Put that in A5. Just to keep it looking exactly the same, I'm going to try and do it exactly like this other one. Bank reconciliation. Put 2 L's. April 30th. Oh, no, it's not April. It's this one was September 30th, 2013. I'm going to go down to number 9, go over to C, and I'm going to go ahead and just put balance on bank statement. Additions. And then we're going to do a deposit of I'm going to leave that one blank for a second. Then we're going to do deductions. I'm just going to kind of try to set it up as close to this one as possible.
Deposit of, and then just that's it.
Well, I'm going to go in and put the date, but the date's going to be different. So this one says the deposit of April 30th. We're going to have a deposit of something else. So adjusted bank balance, going to go down to number 19, balance in books. Deductions. We're going to just say NSF check just in case there is one. Bank service charge. And adjusted book balance. I'm going to go back in, and anywhere where it's indented, I'm going to try and do my indentation. So I'm going to indent once. I'm going to try and make it look as close to this one as possible. Indent, indent, whoops. And I don't know, when we're working through this problem, we're probably going to have something that we're going to change. Maybe there's another deposit or something. I'm not sure. We'll find out. And we can see that we're going to be in G for our subtotals. I'm going to shrink this side right now so I can get to it. G will be our subtotal, and H will be our total category. I'm just going to, you don't have to write this. I'm just doing this so I can keep track of it for me. I'm recording. Yes, it says recording. Is it paused though? No, it's recording. You're good. You'll be able to watch this later in the privacy of your own home. What? Please with clothes on. So, okay. So our bank statement balance, our first thing. What was the balance on the bank statement? Actually, it says balance on bank statement as of the end of September 30th. That's an important part. 8,134? I don't even see that number anywhere.
720, 7,323,
I'm going to actually make this full screen. What is it? 73, 2350. That's what I see. I'm going to highlight this whole section right here, and I'm going to go ahead and comma style it so I can comma style. So I highlighted all my numbers that I could potentially do. Put a comma style in. And so Gabby doesn't have to keep stretching her neck, I will zoom this in a little bit. There we go. So do we have any additions or things that are not on there? So we need to look at our transactions. And we can see that we started with a balance of $6,500. Now I'm going to take this bank statement. We're matching the bank statement to what is in our books. And in our books we have a transaction. I should have copied and pasted this one out, but I didn't. I'm sorry. Don't write in your book. But on page 316 at the bottom, you can see all the transactions that we recorded as they went along. So on the first, we had a balance of $6,500. Does that match the bank statement?
Yes.
Perfect. I'm going to cross that out. Bing. We got that. We then had check number 104 for $104. Or excuse me, for $100 on September 1st. Does it look like that one ever went through?
On the 6th it did.
On the 6th, it did go through. So I'm going to go ahead and cross that one out all the way across like this. I just crossed it all the way across my page.
Assuming it did because it didn't read out as...
I'm pausing for you right now, Mr. Tuck. What's going on?
All right, I'm on it over here. I just finished typing.
Right. We're looking at the stuff on the bottom of 316 in the book, and we're comparing it to the stuff that's at the top of 317, but I've photocopied that 317 so we can mark on it.
Okay.
So we verified that 6,500 is what we started with, so we crossed that off on our bank statement. This is the Mr. Greer version of reconciliation. Remember, I taught you guys this kind of in QuickBooks. Now, we looked for our next check, which was, well, I'm just going to go down these transactions in order and see if I can verify that they are on here. Now, in a real bank statement, you will see $100 with a check number right next to it. They will tell you the check numbers, okay? So it's not like you're playing eeny, meeny, miny, which one is it, like we are kind of on here. On an authentic bank statement, we would just go look for check 104, cross off check 104. And we would just verify that the amounts matched like we had to in QuickBooks, so we didn't transpose anything. So the next one, check 105. Do we see that anywhere?
Nope.
I see
Yes.
it. I see it on, it's $10 right below that one on September 11th. Cross that $10 out.
Oh, so everything on the
No,
11th.
no,
so
you
those
just
three-
wanna cross out the
no,
$10.
No, I know.
Just-
But those 3 different charges on the 11th mean that they went in on that same day?
Yes. And we have checks on the left, deposits on the right, according to this
That was
bank
something
statement.
Crazy.
Okay, then we have a deposit of $500 on the 3rd. Do we have that?
Yes.
Yep, so let's cross that one out. We got that. Good. We have check 106 for $225.
Yes.
I see that one. It's down on the 15th.
September 25th, or 15th.
There we go. I see check 107 on the 11th for $200. I see that. It actually, somebody looks like they took it in and cashed it on the 11th.
Did you skip the 10?
No, we did the 10 on the 3rd. It was check 105. So we already got that 10 done. That was on the September 3rd. It was check 105. What's up, Mr. Tuck?
I'm confused now.
No, there's
but-
September 10
No,
for
it's-
410.
It's 410.
Oh, that's a deposit.
Okay.
We're looking for that one.
Oh, okay. That's fine. Okay.
I'm not seeing that yet. We'll get to it.
So the deposit
So I see a deposit on 10.
for the 11th.
Oh, are you saying I skipped that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't see that. 410. So we're done with September 11th. I'm going to put a line all the way through that one now because that means all my transactions on that date are done, according to this bank statement. And you kind of have to modify this little mode that I like to do. And like I told you in QuickBooks, I like to use a blue pen because I can really see what I'm marking versus what I'm not marking because black just kind of fades into the page with everything else. I like to be able to look at it and see right off the bat, oh, I've marked all this really quickly. You'll be surprised at when you're looking at lots of numbers on a page, how black just becomes invisible. It just really just fades into the page. All right, so we did 200 on the 11th. On the 15th, we have check 108 for $75. Do we see that anywhere?
No.
No.
All right, I'm going to write at the bottom of my bank statement, 915, check 108 for 75 bucks. I'm just going to write that down here. If you can see at the bottom of my page, I've now taken and written it down. So we have that. On September 21st, check 109 for 60.
Yep.
I see that one, so we're going to cross that one off. That's all the way done for that September 19th date. Great. On the 22nd, deposit for $730.
Yep.
That went in. On September 25th, check 110 for $16. I see that one.
Limit,
Yeah.
yes,
It's the second row.
yes.
It's weird that they're putting in those columns. It's stupid. I don't know why they did that in the book. It's just the textbook. A normal bank statement will have everyone listed out, and you'll see the check number right by it. It's a
I
lot.
think they did it just to conserve space.
Yeah, because the book's too small.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what's going on, Ashley? Okay. Well, where did you get lost at? You tell me. 9 what? 915 for check 108 was $75. It doesn't exist on this bank statement. So I wrote it at the bottom because that means it's something that didn't get put into our books, but it did happen in the bank. So we have to match that up. So because I don't have it in my transactions, but it did go through my bank account, I'm writing it down here because, hold on, when I put it into my books, I'm going to cross it off saying now everything's reconciled. Okay, so we have two masters that we're serving here. One is the accounting information, and one is the bank. We have to make those two match at the end of the month. Okay, so because the bank sees that $75, but our accounting records don't, we say, okay, we're going to go put those in our accounting records at this point. And we're going to get to the bottom, we're going to see a bunch of our accounting records that aren't in the bank, and we're going to account for that also in the bank. Okay, so we're just making these two things match. Yes?
September 22nd. There was a check. Was there a check?
September 22nd was a deposit for $730. It's on there on September 23rd. I see $730.
So this is our QuickBooks printout.
No,
and then
that
this
is from
our
the bank.
statement. This is from the bank?
That's your QuickBooks right there.
Then why are we writing it in if it's from the bank if they missed the $75?
They didn't miss the $75. We missed the $75 in our QuickBooks. This is QuickBooks right here. It's not in there. Or it's in QuickBooks, it's not in the bank.
Yeah.
So somebody hasn't taken that check and cashed it yet.
Yeah.
So it's still outstanding. We owe it. QuickBooks knows we owe it, but the bank doesn't know we owe it. So because I don't have it on here, I'm putting it on here
This
so I
the
can
bank
just
statement.
match it all. This is the bank statement right here.
Okay.
Sir?
Not to look all crazy at me when you say that.
Oh, I'm looking crazy. I just want to make sure everybody understands. I'm just trying to, everybody's asking different questions and there's nobody's in trouble. I just want to make sure you get it when we're seeing it. And once again, I hate to say this 50 times in this class, but this process is way easier in QuickBooks. We just put check boxes by it, then we add the things that need to be added and it works all out. But, yeah, what? No, go ahead.
Okay, I was gonna ask, what do you do if you're trying to find a number from the book and there's two of them over here of the same number?
Well, normally, what we would have is the check number listed. So if we had two checks for $100, like the way they're doing it in the book right now, we have to guess one of those 100s worked. One of them didn't. But in a normal bank statement, we would have like check 105, check 106, and so we know exactly what everything is. All right, let's continue here. So we are at the deposit of $730. So then we had the check 110 for $16 on September 25th. We crossed that one out. Check 111 for $80. Looks like it's on the same date. So we're going to cross that one out. Are you okay, Ashley? Are you with us? Yeah. Okay. Then we have check 112 for $140.
Not there.
I don't see it, so I'm going to put down here 927. Check 140 for $140. Or excuse me, 112. Check 112 for $140. And my final one is a deposit on the 28th. So 928. I'm writing this on my piece of paper now. is a deposit for $900. So I have 3 things in my QuickBooks or my transaction list that were not on the bank statement that I've written on my bank statement at the bottom of the page.
And then we have 2 things that are on the.
And then we have 2 things that are on here at the bottom, the $750 SC, which stands for service charge. And that's usually going to be at the top of a bank statement, not on the 30th at the bottom. And in QuickBooks, where do we put that? You remember, Mr. Tuck, where we put that? We go to reconcile. Right off the bat, it says bank service charge. You just type in the number. If they're charging you $8 a month or $20 a month, you just type in how much it is. So QuickBooks is expecting there to be a service charge. And then the second one is a debit entry, which is a return check. That $118 is going to be for something that somebody bounced to us, I can almost guarantee. Yeah, the NSF check for $118. It says it in the problem. Okay, so that is a check that was returned that we didn't get paid. So we have that in our books as a deposit, but it's actually not. It was a return check. So what we're going to do is we're going to come here and say we have some additions to our bank statement. So let's read this on this bank reconciliation. As we read this, it should become clear. The bank statement balance at the end was $7,323.50. Do we need to add anything to it?
Yes.
What are we adding? We wrote it down. The $900 deposit. So we'll say a deposit of September 28th. So I'm just going to come over here and say deposit of September 28th. And we say that is in transit. That means it's in process right now. It's going through the process of being cleared. Checks clear much faster than they used to even like 3 or 4 years ago. We've really sped up the process. It takes about 24 hours, 48 hours for a check to clear. It used to take a lot longer.
3 to 4 business days.
Yeah, so we're going to come on over here and we're going to just put in here deposits in transit of $900. And then did we have any deductions from the bank statement, things that weren't on here that we had written?
Yes.
How many?
2.
Because we wrote them down, right? We have those 2 things. So we had 3 at the bottom. We had 1 deposit, 2 checks. So check number 108 of September 15th. And then check number 112 of September 27th. And I believe these are gonna get totaled up here. So we're gonna tally them up in the subtotal. So this first one was for $75. Second one was for $140. And I'm gonna do a quick little formula here that says this equals the sum of these 2. Just gonna add them up. Good? I'm getting really good at my pauses. Okay. So our adjusted bank balance. What's my formula, Ashley? What should my adjusted bank balance be? Equals. This plus this. These are deductions, so we're going to subtract any outstanding checks. So our adjusted bank balance should be what? $8,008.50? There we go. $8,008.50. So now we've adjusted our bank statement. Now we need to adjust our books. So this is the second half of that. I'm going to go ahead and scroll down here. The things that were not included are all the things that have not been crossed off on the bank statement. Okay, so we're going to go in and look at the bank statement now and say, what didn't we cross off? Well, we have 2 things. We have a bank service charge.
And then QuickBooks will do this automatically when you just put in my bank service charge is $750.
Yes, and an NSF check of $118. So we're going to state our beginning balance in the books. What is our beginning book balance as it relates to what they're looking for here? We want to have, it'll tell us in the problem.
8,134.
Yes, it's at the end. It says the balance of the cash account and the checkbook on September 30th was $8,134. So that is our beginning book balance. It's what we have according to our records is what should be in the bank. But it's not what's in the bank. What's in the bank?
$8,008.
Well, it's actually $7,323.50. So you're like, whoa, 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 how can my books be so far off? They're not. There's just the two things haven't been reconciled yet. So we're just going to make them match up. And then we're going to come down here and we're going to just equals what? What does this equal right here for adjusted book balance?
Bank statement minus balance in book.
Because these are deductions. We're going to subtract this, subtract that. Boom. And look, we have $8,008.50, $8,008.50. Those two things matching mean what? It's almost break time. We have balance. It's exactly what that means. Thank you. So we've got those. Now, there are a few transactions that were made, which were, or two of them. These are balance books issues. These were not in our accounting records. What do we need to have happen in our accounting records in order to make sure something actually happened?
We have to put in a journal.
The journal. Yeah, we have to put them in the books. So it doesn't happen unless it happened in the journal. So we're going to go into the journal. Yes, Nick?
Do you minus the 118 out of that too?
I subtracted both of those things from it, yes.
So it's, 8,118. That's it? Oh, all three. I got it.
Well, what's the hotkey to do it when you want it, like I'm typing something on a box. I go out of the box, I want to finish typing in the box.
Control, delete. I'm just kidding.
What is it?
F2 allows you to go in and see that.
F2?
That's what I just did.
No, not like, I have add-ons right here.
Hit
Now,
F2. Oh, you have to function F2 on yours. There it goes.
Okay.
Yeah. That came from the problem. At the end of the problem, it says in the book, the balance of the cash account and the checkbook was $81.34. All right, with no further ado then, let's go ahead and take our 10-minute break. I'll pause this. So we've gone through and gotten our adjusted book balance. Feel good about this now, right? Ashley, are you okay? Yeah. Okay, it looked like you were a little frustrated at that point, so I just want to make sure we're good. Okay, but you're good now? We stopped, we collaborated, and we listened, and then we kind of put it back in a brand new edition. And so we've got this. So now we can come back over here, and we can see, oh, good, does this look like what we had there? It actually looks pretty darn similar, if you ask me. Let me just pull this over here. Oh, we should put these over here, because I don't want to freak anybody out tomorrow. So I'm going to do 118,750. Then we're going to add these two up here. I'm just trying to make it look just like it does in the problem, and we didn't look at it. So I'm just going to do a sum instead right here of those two things. I just moved them over because I want it to look similar to what it is like. So tomorrow, when you're freaking out about your test,
Or you could just delete.
you'll just go through and you'll be like, oh, there it is. Oh, that's what I need.
Or
Okay.
you could just shift cells left, and you don't have to worry about redoing the equation.
Okay. Or you could delete cells on the left and say shift them left. Yeah, is that what you're saying? That's the total of these two together. So that's a subtotal. Okay. 125.50. 125.50. All right.
50 cents.
Now we're going to come down here and we're going to look at the 26th row because I'm trying to keep it exactly the same. We're going to go ahead and put that this is Peter Chin again, attorney at law, and we're going to do a general journal. Date looks like in C is, looks like A should be the date. Oh, I wanted both these over here in A. My apologies. C is our description, our descripción. Scroll over here. It looks like in F is our posting reference. Alt Enter makes it reference. You know, I bet they're not even doing that. I bet they're doing it in 28. So let's just do 28 is post, 29 is reference. Then we have in G is debit, and H is credit. And I don't think we have anything else over there. Perfect. All right. So we've got all these in here now. We're seeing this whole thing. We're going to center this at some point, so we might as well do it right now. Merge and center. Makes it look right. Merge and center. Highlight everything in here and say center. And let's go ahead and just put this in here. What were the things that we needed to add? So we're adding to our books. What were the two things that were not in the books?
15, the check number 108 on 15th of September.
Yeah, the $7.50 and the 118. These are the two things that we had to change in our books. So these things have to be put into the journal. That's a good way to think of that. So we're changing them in our books. So first off, what's her name? Annette. Anybody named Annette owes money. No.
Can you start the recording again?
I hope so. Should I put you in charge of that?
No.
All right. So Annette owes me money. She's stolen from me. She's written an NSF check. I'm going to enjoy this today, Annette. All right. And we're going to make sure that she pays up. But how do we know if she's going to pay up? She wrote us a check. It bounced. Now what?
Go to her house with the golf club.
Well, what do we do in the books? We can go to her house with the golf club if that's how you want to collect. But what do we do in the books to know that she owes us money?
Say that it bounced and that it's still a pending charge.
Okay, so we advanced it? Is that what you said? If we're going to advance something to somebody, what do we call that? Was it cash? She wrote us a check. It bounced. So now what have we essentially issued her?
A loan.
Yeah, which we also call?
No, promissory note.
Well, we call that credit, or she's now bought it on credit or on account because she didn't pay, so she owes us money. Now, this is something that we don't want to give her 6 months to pay. It's $118. Correct? We want our money now. But we need to put it in the books as she owes it to us. So what account do we use when people owe us money?
Account receivable.
Perfect, Priscilla. Accounts receivables. So we're going to go ahead and just go down here and say on in 2013, September 30th, we're going to put in here an AR charge for Annette Cole. We're going to debit because she's going to owe us. I'm going to go ahead and highlight these and put comma style in here really quick. She's going to owe us $118. Now, what account are we going to, bless you, credit? What account is it coming out of?
What was the check for? Cash.
Cash. We thought we had the money. We have to pull it out of cash. We have to put it in accounts receivable. Now that's kind of rare because normally we're pulling stuff out of accounts receivable and putting it in cash. But because she paid us in cash, the cash bounced. Bastages. No. We're going to put it back into AR. It was never in AR, so we're going to pull it out of cash. We're going to say this equals the same amount. I'm going to go ahead and indent cash just so we can see it, that it's a credit. Oh, I was hitting the other one. And then we're going to put a little description in here. And the description will be recording NSF check returned by bank, something like that.
4 indents or 2 indents?
I just did 1 and then 2. Yeah. So we know that Annette Cole owes us money. She can run, but she can't hide. Our Annette would never do that. Our next one. What else did we not have in the books? $7.50 bank service charge. Now, I would argue that where we should put this, let's see if it shows us on the other one. It doesn't have anything here. But in QuickBooks, do you guys remember what the account was in QuickBooks? For where we put NSFs. Like, what do we call that? Or, excuse me, not NSFs, bank service charges.
Fees outgoing.
There's a bank service fee account. It's an expense account that we have bank service fee expenses. So we would put on the 30th. Now an expense is always a debit. So bank service charge or expense, $7.50. Oops. Equals here. What does it get paid from? What account does that come out of? Yeah, I mean, they have all our cash. We can't stop them from taking it, right? That's where it sits. They can pull that out whenever they want. And we just say to record the bank service fee for September. That's it. We've done that problem. I'm going to zoom out a little bit here. I'm going to scroll up. Now, these aren't together, so I'm going to just merge and center. Did you need me to stay down there? Yeah. Okay. I will do that. Un momento. Oh, I got sub and total. I'm like, what are these? These were just for me, so I'm going to get rid of those. I'm going to center this. I'm just messing with Michael Tuck now. Move it back and forth. This one over here. So I can come up here and say, in reality, I can grab this whole thing and highlight it, and then come over to this backdrop and fill it with, like, getting close. I'm trying to find the color. That color, maybe? Anyway, I can make it just like it. I can come over here, put yellow in, and we could have something that looks very similar to this. So that's all they're doing, is they're just putting color codes in, so let's not get mixed up with what we're doing versus what they're doing. I'm going to remove my color. Okay, good. So I'm going to mark down here, this was 9.5B. Whoops. 9.5B. Excellent. Let's move on to 9.6B. It says preparing a bank reconciliation statement and journalizing entries to adjust the cash balance. So on July 31st, 2013, the balance in the stacked stone masonry checkbook cash account was this. This time, instead of listing it out, they're just telling us what's wrong, the things that we need to adjust. They're not going to make us go through and do this whole reconciliation thing where we cross out what's in the bank statement. So they're pretty much going to give us the information. The good news is we can flip back over to our other one and look at it. We could say, okay, what does this one look like? Looks like this, which seems actually really similar to what we did before. The only difference is they're not giving us what we're putting in here for each one of these. See that? It's a big difference. Then we have the balance in the books, and this time we have additions and deductions in our book balance. So it's essentially the exact same thing that we just did. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that page, right mouse click, move or copy, create a copy right in front of sheet 2, And I'm going to call this one 9.6. Farther? Friday night can't come fast enough, or yes, Thursday night, midnight. Just want to order my new phone. That's all I want to do.
What, not a preferred customer? Pre-order?
That's pre-order. Everybody's a preferred customer to Apple. They don't treat people differently like Samsung. No. I just can't wait. We all get that? Ready to go? Okay, let's jump in. So this person's name is Stacked Stone Masonry. It's a bank reconciliation statement. We're doing July 31st, 2013. Balance on the bank statement is what? It was how much? $9.5 or 9.6B. It's the balance on the bank statement.
7/3/18.
There you go, $8,442.33. $8,440. Oh yeah, because it says bank statement, doesn't it? I love that. They told me what they wanted. Now, we would normally have to go through this whole bank statement and figure it all out, but because it's not like that. It says the following checks were issued but have not yet been paid by the bank. Those go into the bank statement? Yeah, because they've been issued, but the bank doesn't have any record of them. So in order to get our adjusted bank balance, we're going to need to do that. Now, are there any additions? A credit memorandum, a firm record indicates that a deposit of $994.07 was made on July 31st. Does not appear in the bank statement. So we need to put that in. So our addition is deposit of, I'm going to go ahead and just say July 31st. Is in transit. And that was for the amount of $994.07. Now we have several checks. Actually, we have 3 checks. I know because it says I have check number 533, 535, and 537 that have all not gone through. But I only have 2 here. I'm going to do my little magic trick here of right mouse clicking on the 15th row and hitting an insert. I actually want to see if this did my formula right. I'm going to do it before we even get there. Yeah. So notice that because I did it in between, my formula is still going to work because I didn't say add this one plus this one, but I was smart and I had done equals the sum of everything in between here. So if I put something in between, it's going to keep going. So we're going to go ahead and say check number. Let's just do them in order. Is it 533? 533. Check number 535 and check number 537. Those were for respectively, what was 533?
533 was 148.95.
Okay. 535?
122.50.
Great. 537?
425.40.
Bingo. So my adjusted bank balance automatically calculated itself.
So all the other 2 were just, so every other check you wrote hasn't been cashed yet.
We don't know. Just for some reason they didn't cash those.
They just-
I'm not going to ask why. I'm just going to put it down because they're outstanding. I owe them to people. Boom, boom, boom. Now we need to adjust the books. Oh, I didn't. I left it up there. You want me to zoom in a little bit?
No, you good, you good.
Well, Mr. Tuck's looking at that. I'm going to come down to this Peter Chin, and I'm going to say it equals what? Stone masonry. Boom. I like doing that. I should have done that before. I hate it when I don't do it the right way. So the balance in the books was how much? Nick, what do you got back there? What was our ending balance of our books before we do any adjustments? You're the man. 7,059 cents. Okay. This time, though, it says a credit memorandum shows the bank collected $1,550 of the notes receivables, and that we didn't get that. We don't have that on our books, so we're going to have to add that in. So let's go ahead and add in 3 or 4 here. Let's see. Let's just do 4 rows because I'm thinking ahead. And we're going to do additions. What? Really? Like I've done that like all the time. Look, you just highlight the 4 rows that you want to insert over in the row numbers. You right mouse click and say insert, and it just drops everything down. You highlight, yeah, like you got to highlight over here on the left. And then however many you want, you just hit right mouse click and hit insert, and it'll put that block in. This is why we do it all in Excel. Learn all these Excel tricks. You guys are going to go be awesome Excel people for the rest of your life. You're like, oh, let's just put a row in there. Like, what do you mean? You're like, oh, watch, right mouse click. Ah, it's so amazing. I know, I get that all the time. It's a tough life, but somebody has to be an expert. All right, additions. It is really funny, though. I got to tell you, the smallest, little, stupidest things make people think you're a genius at work. It's fantastic. And that's one of those. I'm telling you, if you know how to use this program, people are like, how did you get so smart? You'd be like, just kind of picked it up. You'd be like, Mr. Greer. So I owe it all to him.
You're adding in the 1550 with the 30 and the 994.
We're going to add in the $1,550 as a notes receivable, and then they gave us another $30 in interest.
Right. Plus you'll add in,
No, we already did the $994 up above because that was part of that wasn't on the bank statement.
add in the service charge, right?
Yeah, we're going to get down to any NSF checks and a service charge in case there is one. So let's go ahead and put in our 2 additions. First one is that we had a note receivable collected by bank, and we had interest.
No receivable, that's where the person goes and pays the bank instead of you?
Well, they did. It's kind of weird and archaic that they did that. I mean, wouldn't you want the people to know that you paid them? I'd go drop it off at their place, but what do I know?
If you don't like the person.
Then you'd go pay the bank. So,
On note?
Yeah.
Yes.
just trying to see if everybody's paying attention. So we're going to do a sum of these together equals the sum of these 2 numbers. We could do a subtotal here, which equals this plus, no, these are additions, this. We didn't have additions last time. Those 2 numbers added. H2O plus H23. It's Gatorade plus water. Now, did we have any deductions? Let's look. a service charge of $14.34 and a debit memorandum, which is an NSF check of $145, weren't in there. So now we have to change this first formula we did, because we're actually going to move this one down. We're going to say this number right here minus that. We can actually get rid of this middle one. And look, these two balance. I'm going to throw in some fancy stuff really quick here. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Hang on, how did you get that? Adjusted balance?
Sorry, ask which one? Which one are we worried about? I got 4 people.
How did you get the adjusted balance book balance?
I did all the required prerequisites in the book, and that was the number I came up with. Hold on a second. Jerry, what were you going to ask me, and then I'll answer your question. How did I get to it? Well, come on. Think about it, you guys. Think about it. I don't want to tell you the formula. I want you to tell me the formula. I want you to tell me the math. The math is the easy part.
Oh, I got it, never mind.
It's 8,000 minus the 159.
Right. So we're just going to take our original balance, put any of the additions in. I mean, it says additions. Add that. We're going to take this balance, anything that we need to deduct from it, which is these two totaled up, gives us this number, and they balance. Maybe we should do a closed book test next time. That'd be awesome. Just to test you guys out. I'll do a 10-column worksheet with a bank rec. What? Yeah, I'll give you the data, closed book. You just have to sit there and make it all from scratch. Or make you do it by hand. That'd be even better. A 10-column worksheet on paper by hand. Blindfolded? No, I'll let you have one hand, though.
I would be sick that day.
He's crying. What class do you guys have next month? Have you guys seen it yet? Man, do you guys have a man class?
What's the next one?
I don't know. That's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering what you guys got.
Do we still have to go to the portal? Okay.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure you guys all had your stuff in there. Because you guys are in one big group. If you're not, I have it over in my office. But.
I thought it came out on week 4. Only on week 4.
Aren't they almost all on?
All right. We still need to do our general journal. So we're going to come down here. What are the things that we need to put in the journal?
The checks. Or the,
Yeah. This one right here, I'm just going to highlight this whole thing here. This whole section, nice and red. The mere fact that it says balance in books, we are changing stuff in our accounting. So anything that we did in here, which we have 4 transactions that we did, we need to alter. Those are things that we need to put into our books. I can't look at that red anymore. It was too bright. It's too saturated. So we're going to have 4 things to do. The first one is going to be Annette was definitely not the person. This time it was July, I believe. Let's start with, let's just go down the list. The notes receivable. So July, what date? Does it tell us when we got that?
July 31st.
We're just going to put, July 31st. So what did we get for that? It's addition. So we're going to have cash. And how much was it? No, it was $1,550. The guy paid us. It's from a note receivable. So we're going to say that's great. It was a note receivable. from a guy that owed us money. But is that the only thing that came in then? What else came in? As part of that note, we had interest income. So we're actually going to bring over this $15.50, and we're going to bring over this $15.30, or this $30, excuse me, and I'm going to add those two up, which equals, yeah. So this is recording a receipt of amount due on note payable
How do we know it was
plus interest.
30 bucks interest?
It
Oh,
says
okay,
interest
fine.
on note receivable.
Yeah.
So we recorded that one. So we could come up here and like cross off all this area because we did this one already now. We're done. Michael Tuck, am I okay?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm fine.
I'm just making sure. I don't want to stress you out. Then we have two more things left. Now, I have a question, and this is just a theoretical accounting question. What is going to get credited for both of those?
Okay,
What account are we going to credit
from the NSF check and
for the NSF check and for the bank service charge?
well, the bank service charge is going with cash.
Okay, NSF check is going to be
Cash as well.
cash as well.
That's the
So
balance check.
why don't we just make one compound entry with cash as a credit and those two things as debits?
Get you one every time you made it.
Because what?
They're for different.
They're for different transactions. So that's exactly what it is. Those aren't part of the same transaction. So this one, this was part of the same transaction. The interest and the note payable, those were things that came in as part of the same transaction. So we make it a compound transaction. But we do not, so we're going to need two more entries. We do not do that for this one. So we can actually, let's just keep it. Bank service fee. I'm not going to recreate the wheel here. It's $14.34. In fact, I'm just going to hit equals up here. It translates down. I'm going to copy and paste this sucker. Boom. How much was it, or what account do we debit for an insufficient funds? What account's going to go up? They paid us cash, but now they owe us money. Accounts receivables. I love it. I look at Priscilla every once in a while. She's so quiet. Also, she's like, he's looking at me. And the guy's name was? Accounts receivables, Robert Briggs.
You're not including oh, okay.
All right, now we're going to do a little bit of imaginary numbers, like calculus, with what we're doing in the journal entry. I'm totally messing with you. I'm just messing with you. Nick's also wait. I should have been checking Facebook at that moment. No. All right, this is the thing. 9.7, we have 10 minutes in class. 9.7 is just the general journal section of this whole thing. What I'd like you to do is sit here and try to figure out on your own What that is, because we're not going to, we're, yeah, 9.7b, we're not going to prepare anything but the journal entries. Excuse me, we're going to do the book balance and then the journal entries. So what we're doing is the bottom half of this. So you're going to be doing this section and the journal. You have 10 minutes. I'd like to see if you guys can just do it on your own so you're ready for tomorrow. Okay? You guys know how to copy this over? You can make this really quick. You can copy it over, then you have everything ready. You can start putting in numbers. Right mouse click on the bottom here. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this thing.